Hello everybody, welcome to the JavaScript course. In this video, I'm going to discuss the keyboard events. So basically, there are two events called keydown events and keyup events to consider. And I'm also going to tell you the event.code and the event.key values that are quite important to distinguish their differences. Now, let us see the HTML file first. The HTML file has a number of elements. First, I have a title here, and then in the body part, I have a number of elements. So I have an input box of text type, and I have some divisions that I'm going to show some content later on, just below the first input box. And for the second input box shown here, I'm also going to have some information to show up using the division just below it. And of course, I have to link my JavaScript file to the HTML file, and the JavaScript file is called myscript.js, which is put in the JS folder, okay? Now, let us go to the JavaScript file. In order for me to use the strict mode, I have to say use strict on the first line of the JavaScript file. And now I'm going to tell you the two events called keydown and keyup. For keydown event, it means that a key is just pressed. And for the keyup event, it means that a key is just released after pressing. So I'm going to show you these two events by using the following example. So I've already picked up the input box together with the two divisions underneath the input box. Okay. So the first input box is already obtained by using the getElementById method, and the corresponding two text regions are also obtained by the getElementById method. Okay. And I want to show the number of characters obtained during the pressing. So I have to say let nchars equals 0 to indicate the number of characters being pressed. So for the input box, I want to handle three events. So for the first event listener, I want to handle the keydown event. I have a show pressed function to call later. And for the second event listener, I want to listen to the keyup action. And for the third event listener, I also want to listen to the keyup action. So I'm going to show the show down and the show numchars functions together. Okay, these are the three functions to handle. So for the show pressed function, I want to pass an event object to listen to the keydown event. And after that, I want to say pressed. So when the key is being pressed, I want to say pressed in the division called by text region. Okay. And for the show down function here, I want to pass an event object into it. And then when the key is released, I want to just remove the pressed word shown on the text region. And for the show numchars here, I want to count the number of characters pressed. So I have to increment the numchars variable, which was already initialized here. Okay. And after the addition or increment, I want to show the numchars on another text region. Okay. How many characters have been entered? I want to show it out. So let us see the result. Save. Reload. So I try to put something here. So when I press a certain button, you can see that the pressed word was shown up very quickly. And after the key is up, the original sentence will become a certain empty string. Okay, that's why you can see the pressed word showing up very quickly, and it disappears quite quickly as well. Okay, that is the event of the key up and the key down shown here. Okay, so when the key is down, it becomes up very quickly. That's why you can see the blinking of the word pressed. Okay, and for the number of characters, you can see that I have pressed 7 characters and I have 7 shown up here. That's why I can use this function to do the counting of the number of characters pressed. And for the counting here, we have to notice something. The backspace and the space are also characters in JavaScript. That's why when I put a space or when I do the backspace, they are also counted. So I want to delete the G. You can see that the key was really pressed and the number of characters is increased by 1 so that it becomes 8 now. So I can add some space here between C and D. You can see that the space is shown up here and the number of characters is really increased by 1, so it becomes 9. So backspace and space are also characters that are counted during the keyup event, okay? And another concept to talk about is the difference between the event.key and the event.code values. So the event.key value represents the character shown up on the screen. So it can show the capital letter or the small letter. So the event.key value can distinguish the character itself. On the other hand, the event.code represents the key on the keyboard. That means when I put a small letter or a capital letter, we still press the same key on the keyboard. So let us see an example. So event.code can be key A, that means the button on the keyboard with the letter A, okay. But the event.key can be different. It can be a capital letter A obtained by pressing the shift followed by the A, or just a plain A by pressing the button on the keyboard without any shift key, okay. So these are the differences, okay. So for the event.code, we can use some notation to specify the code. So for letters, we can use key followed by the letter in capital letter in JavaScript. And for digit, I can say digit 1, digit 2, digit 0, and so on. And for special keys, I just need to spell it out. Enter, shift left, shift right, F1, F2, and so on. We have 2 shift keys. JavaScript needs to be specific about the left or right button. Okay, so that's why we have to say shift left or shift right for shift keys. Of course, we can say backspace or space and so on to really specify the event.code of your key on the keyboard. So let's see another example. I have a certain input box here. I have one more region underneath that particular input box. So this is the input box together with the ID called text region 3, which represents the division below it, okay. So now I want to listen to the keydown event, and after that I want to show some alert, okay. So I want to listen to the event on my input box too. So what can I do? Let me show you my way now. Okay, I want to show alert. The idea is to check the event.key or the event.code to show the corresponding input that is received by the input box. So if the event key is a small letter X, I just say that the small letter X is really keyed in. On the other hand, if it is a capital letter being pressed, then the event.key would become capital letter X. Then I have to say the capital letter X is really keyed in. Or if I press a certain key called Y on the keyboard, the event.code will be key Y regardless of the capital letter or the small letter being pressed. Then I will say the key Y is pressed. If I don't press any of these 3 types of keys, then the division will just give me a null string, okay. So let us see the result. Save. Reload. So I press small letter X. You can see that this statement is called. Small letter X is keyed in. On the other hand, if I press the shift key followed by the X key, you can see that X is keyed in. This X is a capital letter. So you can see that the event.key is able to distinguish between the small letter and the capital letter. Okay, so they are just the character shown on the screen rather than the physical key itself. Okay, so let us try the Y character. Let me try the small letter first. So even though I press the small letter, you can see that key Y is pressed. That means I can distinguish the event.code of that key. So even though I don't use the shift key to make it a capital letter, the event.code property is able to distinguish it. Okay. Now I press the shift key together with the Y key on the keyboard. You can see that key Y is pressed is also printed out. That means the event.code is able to know that you are pressing the physical key on the keyboard, regardless of the case of it. Okay. So if I press any other keys, for example S, you can see that there is nothing shown here. Okay, because I want to have an else statement at the end to exclude all the other situations that can be received by the input box. Okay. So this video has already talked about the keydown event and the keyup event. So the keyup event refers to the situation that the key is released after pressing, and the keydown event is happening when the key is pressed. Also, we can distinguish between the event.key property and the event.code property. The event.key property represents the character shown up on the screen, while the event.code property represents the key that is pressed on the keyboard. I mean the physical key. Okay. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions about my video, please leave your questions on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.